Hello, my name is Marcelo Mais, and I'm going to explain our project. Pollution is one of the most serious problems around the world. There are different types of pollution, like water, soil, air, etc. In this project, we're going to focus on a city in Mexico called Monterrey. In this city, air pollution is a disaster. It's the most polluted city in all Latin America. We choose to focus on finding new and efficient solutions that would have a greater impact. The benefits of this project will end up being for each and every citizen, and especially if they live in Monterrey. The research question is, how and in which ways does household air pollution affect the cardiovascular system after a long and repetitive exposure? The hypothesis, if we continue with business as usual, with the current numbers of parts per million in our air, then the physical endurance as well as the health of a person will decrease, and as an effect, they will run a shorter distance in a set amount of time. We believe that our hypothesis is likely to be correct since it has been medically proven that air pollution can lead to unhealthy body conditions such as weight gain from metabolic dysfunction, a chronic disease, disruption of regular physical activity. Air pollution is a top environment killer since this problem has become one of the causes for various diseases, including cancer, heart diseases, stroke, and respiratory diseases. And the WHO has estimated that it kills between 30 and 150 times more people. And from those numbers, there are children are also affected, causing disabilities that affects them through their lifetime, also affecting vital organs, including lungs and cardiovascular organs, by possibly shutting down as well as other organs in the human body that can be affected by long exposure to air pollution. Also, air pollution is defined as a release of pollutants in the air that are detrimental to human health and the planet as a whole. The majority of air pollution comes from use, energy use and production, the burning of fossil fuels, the release gases and chemicals into the air. And air pollution not only contributes to climate change, but it also exacerbated by it. Electric cars are the newest option to improve mobility and decrease air pollution. They have gone from being an environmentalist fantasy to occupy a leading position as a tool for reducing emissions of gases and carbon dioxide that climate change causes every day. The Harvard Chan School is working on studies such as climate change research ranges from studies of how land use and building materials interact with airborne pollutants to how powerful new computer models can tease health trends out of massive environmental and health insurance datasets. Air pollution is a mixture of gases and chemicals that exist both inside and outside. Pollution can be generated from car emissions, factories, power generation, wildfires, cooking with a wood stove, among other causes. These mixtures of chemicals through long-term exposure can bring permanent health problems such as accelerated aging of the lungs, loss of lung capacity, and decreased lung function. A person can also develop respiratory diseases as well as cardiovascular ones such as asthma, bronchitis, hypertension, and possibly some types of cancer. Air pollution can have massive negative effects on the health of human body and its cardiovascular system. Also, according to the World Health Organization, 9 out of 10 people now breathe polluted air, affecting the health of those breathing this air. The consequences can increase in the mortality to the point that 1/3 of deaths are from stroke, lung cancer, and heart disease. And it is easily considered the top environmental killer for this same reason. And even though global warming and air pollution are connected, it is estimated that air pollution kills between 30 and 150 more times than the global warming. To obtain the overall health of the cardiovascular system, we must first understand how lung capacity and the cardiovascular system work, function together, and their association. For this, a study based in China includes citizens worldwide explains that the experiment calculated the individual's cardiovascular risk and the lung capacity and its association with cardiovascular risk. Their conclusion was reduced lung function was associated with cardiovascular risk, leading our team to believe that we could measure how air pollution affects the cardiovascular risk by measuring the lung capacity. Wang et al. In their experiment used a spirometer to measure the lung capacity, and the correlation between the two was measured by a linear model as well as estimating changes of risk across the parameters of lung capacity. Finally, a logistic regression was used to calculate the risk according to the subject's decreasing baseline for the lung capacity. Our experimental design. Well, we have the independent variable is the amount of pollution, the dependent variable physical endurance as measured by running distance over a set amount of time, the control variable, the speed of the treadmill or elliptical, materials, the treadmill, elliptical, clock for measuring, a homemade device that measures lung capacity. Well, the experiment is based on choose 3 volunteers of an approximate age of range between 18 and 45. We're going to use the data collected from our subjects' lung capacity to measure their cardiovascular health before and after the experiment. We will have these volunteers run inside a building on a treadmill or use an elliptical for 10 minutes. And after a short rest of 5 minutes, the volunteers will use their homemade device to measure their lung capacity. After a short rest of 10 minutes, the volunteers will go outside and run for another 10 minutes. And just as before, after a short rest of 5 minutes, they will use the device to measure the lung capacity again. Later, we will send the data collected to us and we will calculate the data given to our specifications. After doing this, we will compare each volunteer lung capacity after running inside and outside, and compare it to see if the result from the device from running in a building is different from the result of running outside to see if it did affect the cardiovascular system. We will apply the same procedure for the next 4 days. Okay, here are the results. Our first volunteer is Rosela Hinojosa, age 18, and these are the results of the 4 days, inside and outside. The second volunteer was me, Marcelo Mais. I'm 18, and here are the results of the inside and outside running. And the third volunteer is Isabella Richardson. He's 19, and here are the results. Okay, these are some numbers that explain how the data that was collected from the experiment. And here are some data as mean, median, mode, minimum, maximum, the quartiles, the range, and the variance. It's the data of the data collected from the inside and outside. So here's a graph that shows the inside, the inside and outside, and the seconds that the time. So well, the results obtained in our experiment represent exactly our hypothesis. Also proved by our experiment, the numbers of parts per million affect the physical endurance of our 3 participants. Under an extensive study, researchers found that air pollution affected different participants in different ways. A blanket statement on how air pollution affects the body while exercising just wasn't possible because different organ systems were affected in varying degrees. So here are the studies. In the first, they had subjects perform two identical cycling tests but one was in a lab with particles driven from the air. The other was performed along a busy road with moderate pollution. In a second study, subjects undertook 12-week training programs with some of them located in a rural environment and others in a urban environment. Basically, exercising outside damages the cardiovascular system, and that's why running inside will have better endurance. In conclusion, the art of exercising outside has several health problems such as cardiovascular diseases, exposure of lungs, and some kind of people. Brain problems. The results of the experiment agree with the COMPARE study. To improve our experiment, we will need a tool that back up specifically how does the vehicle endurance can, can be upgraded or improved running outside according to the problem of the air quality and pollution. Here are some references of the work and the backup information, and thank you.